Scatter.
Your game wasn't nothing till I gave it a spark. And now you wanna try and kick me out of the park. Well, I ain't going quiet, I'm saying it loud. My mission is to stop you and completely shut you down.
Smack, runner, you're nothing but
places you don't talk about at parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Keep this frequency clear.
And now it's conspiracy. See, they've made that something that should not be even entertained for a minute. That powerful people might get together and have a plan. Doesn't happen. You're a kook. You're a conspiracy buff. Something that should not be even entertained.
Trusted to deliver the truth since 2008, and now. Here's your host, Mr. Bobby Powell.
Welcome back to The Truth is Viral, everybody. My name is Bob Powell. It's Friday night, January 6th, and today a tragedy occurred in Fort Lauderdale when 26-year-old Esteban Santiago walked into the bathroom after getting off a flight from Anchorage, Alaska, and took his checked luggage, which I understand is the only piece of baggage that he took with him. And he took it into the restroom and put it together and came out firing. And he shot down 13 innocent people, killing 5 of them. This guy is a real piece of work, folks. According to published reports, Santiago walked into an FBI office in Anchorage last November, claiming that he was forced to fight for ISIS. And he also said that his mind was being controlled by the CIA, which was forcing him to watch ISIS videos. And the FBI contacted local police, who involuntarily committed Santiago to a mental facility for treatment. Now, tonight, we're not going to deal with conspiracy theories. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people that have this theory or that theory based on a little bit of information. We're only going to deal with the facts as we know them. And one of the facts that we're going to have to deal with is that this shooting incident, regardless of where this guy came from, what his motivations were, this incident is going to affect our rights as American citizens when we carry a gun, especially in airports. Now, let's look a little bit more about the Santiago character. He was discharged from the Army National Guard last August, and his family said that he served in Iraq in 2010. He'd been the subject of interagency investigations by the FBI and the Army CID. In 2011 or 2012, he was investigated by the Army for possession of child pornography, but there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute. Now, according to ABC News, Santiago was also interviewed by the FBI on a second occasion after his employer called them, raising concerns about things that Santiago had been saying. And mainstream media reports say that Santiago flew from Anchorage to Minneapolis and then switched planes and flew Delta to Fort Lauderdale with the pistol that he used to shoot those 13 innocent travelers in his checked baggage. And once he landed, he took his bags to a bathroom to load his pistol and come out firing. And tonight, to talk about how this is going to affect us, is my special guest is Rick Ector. And Rick Ector is a firearms instructor down in Detroit, pretty good friend of mine. We've had some fun at Second Amendment rallies and in Lansing and whatnot. And like I said, he runs Rick's Firearm Academy. He's been a firearms instructor for 11 years, and he even trains other people to become firearms instructors. He's a Second Amendment advocate at the it's called Legally Armed in Detroit. The acronym's laid. We had some fun with that. So why don't you welcome my guest, Rick Ector. Here he is. Hey, Rick, how you doing?
Hey, Bob, I'm doing great. And hey, trust that you were doing fine, and hopefully we'll have a great, successful new year.
Yes, sir. We will. And we had a great end to the year. Mad Dog Mattis was named Secretary of Defense, of course, after the election of Donald Trump. And it seemed like it was going to be a really great year, but it really hasn't started off that way for a lot of people, especially places like Chicago that had 60 some people killed on or not killed but shot on New Year's Day. So no, it wasn't 60, it was 28. I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but it was 28 people shot in Chicago on one day, New Year's Day, and it was just awful. Now, Rick, I'd like to talk to you about how this incident, regardless of this man's motivations or where he came from and all that stuff, how is this going to affect us? Because I know that you travel around the country speaking on Second Amendment issues that affect all of us, and you travel with your weapon, isn't that right?
I do fly with my firearm, correct. And to the chagrin or to the ignorance of a lot of people in the media, they didn't know that type of activity existed and that there's actually a protocol to actually do that. I expect once a lot of people in the media get over the shock that it has been legal for quite some time, I'm talking scores and scores of years, to legally transport a firearm in checked baggage is indeed legal and is a non-issue for a lot of people in a lot of different circumstances. Inevitably, I imagine we'll hear the clarion call from anti-gun people all across the country who might try to use the medium as their platform to try to impede or change the process. Personally, I don't think the process is in need of changing. It was just an unfortunate negative circumstance. One of the things that has come up in some conversations I've had with people tonight with regard to the incident is that, we're talking about in the baggage claim area of the airport. It's a non-sterile environment. Accordingly, someone could have come into the airport literally off the street and had accomplished pretty much the same thing. I think hopefully a lot of conversation will be geared towards a lot of people who had contact with this individual and for whatever reason dropped the ball. I know that anytime a person goes to his superiors, whether they're in the military or elsewhere, and says that he's having some issues in his head, that he believes that the CIA is controlling his actions and is forcing him to download ISIS training videos, that may be a reason for him to draw further scrutiny or be isolated for observation in a hospital somewhere.
Well, as I understand it, he was actually involuntarily committed to a mental facility in Anchorage, and his brother David says that he's been under psychiatric care for a while. Now, according to my understanding of the law, once you are adjudicated mentally ill, when you are involuntarily committed to a psychiatric facility, don't you lose your gun rights?
That's been my understanding. I know here in the state of Michigan, if you've been adjudicated as having some type of serious mental defect such that you are a threat to yourself or some other person, that automatically should trigger a loss of ability to own and possess a firearm. Whether that information was actually entered into NICS or not, who knows? It's no different than many other sad, tragic, similar circumstances in which the information was out there, someone knew about it, but the ends weren't tied up. Someone didn't do something they probably should have done.
The FBI and the Army CID both were investigating this man, and I'm sure that they were well aware that he had been put in a mental hospital. Wouldn't that also qualify him for a no-fly list?
Well, no, I don't think that would trigger a no-fly list kind of thing, unless, of course, they have deemed him to be, a terrorist or whatever classification that they have. You know, there was not too long ago some issues raised in the House by the people on the political left who wanted to put people who were on the no-fly list on the no-buy gun list. You know, and I thought that that was a terrible thing for the simple fact that they were participating in a frontal attack on the Fifth Amendment, which is the elimination of due process.
Right.
And then when you concatenate that with a loss of firearm rights, I didn't think that it was fair to take away someone's constitutional right without the ability to talk to a judge and have some independent